We have seen the international break come to an end. There's been a few highlights to discuss. You know, Bruno on the score sheet. I think Dano was doing well as well. Xerxes was on the score sheet, got an assist. Ugarte playing back-to-back. Angel Gomez as well, I want to talk about. I mean, he's not our player anymore. Angelina gives the
Angel Gomez.
I mean, really great to see him get a run out for England. We let him go on a free. He's available.
That's a disaster.
Disaster. Absolute disaster. It's synonymous with the old regime. He's available on a free again this summer. You trying to go back at Angel Gomez?
I wouldn't be mad, to be completely honest. I mean, when...
Bring him back.
Yeah, bring him back. I was reading, like, a couple of articles about him in general and stuff, and how, you know, when he left Manchester United, there were offers from, you know, big teams like Barcelona, but he chose to go with Lille, and they put him on that loan spell in Portugal that was really successful. And apparently, like, Bruno Fernandes was helping him, like, settle in Portugal. There's a lot of really... And this isn't why you sign a footballer, because they're a nice person, but there's a lot of really wholesome things about, you know, one of his teammates really wanted a Marcus Rashford shirt. He made the call and got the shirt for him. And I think kind of playing in that Portugal, the team in Portugal that he played for, you know, they were battling, they were battling relegation. And that must be tough going into that. And he did get a couple of goals and assists. And then playing with Lille and kind of transitioning into this role that he's in now in the midfield, that as much as this whole thing about his height and, you know, how big he is and stuff like that, he seems to have really taken it in his stride. You know, people talk about height and stuff. You know, you look at people like, you know, Luka Modric is a bit short. I'm not saying he's Luka Modric, but, you know, a lot was made of it. But the way that he seems to have adapted and really taken it in his stride across Europe, his numbers actually look quite good. So
there's a player there.
There's definitely a player there.
You know,
exactly.
He talks about. He said it in the England presser. You know, it's great to be able to speak to him and etc. off the pitch, on the pitch. But you know,
I don't know if it's somebody that you do actually bring back, but I think it's definitely one that you look at of what was the decision as to letting him go. And when you look at the people that were in charge, no disrespect to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because I don't think he made that decision, but you look at the top dogs at Manchester United that were making those calls, and you do have to question, is that somebody we could have persevered with a little bit more or even sold for some money? It's definitely, you look at that as an error.
Also, we've got to big up a 17-year-old, James Scanland, coming through, you know, playing at under-21s. He scored for Gibraltar. His first senior goal against Liechtenstein. He become the country's youngest ever scorer. I mean, that's one we're going to have to look out for the future for. That's what we want. The production line at Man United, the DNA of Man United, Crookie, is bringing through young players. And for James Scanlon to go away, you know, 17 years of age, get an international goal to his name, you know, these are the things that Man United can, you know, attribute themselves to. Yeah,
definitely. And actually, while the break's been on, I've been doing a bit of research into Toby Collier, who grew up not far from me down in Sussex. Actually, obviously was at Brighton, I think, as a very young player. And I'm told that he's a very humble individual as well, has stayed true to his roots, still goes back and visits his old school in Sussex, etc. So, yeah, I think as much as we need good players, we need good people as well, because I think there's been too many bad eggs in that dressing room, as well as in the boardroom over the last couple of decades. So Angel Gomez seems like the type of player that actually, if you're looking at him as a human being as well as a footballer, and you're right, his stats are good, he can play as a attacking midfielder, he can play as that holding midfielder as well, then I think United scouting team should be looking at him. I know other clubs in the Premier League, including Tottenham, are certainly doing their diligence on him. Yeah,
and on a free, I mean, he looked good yesterday against Finland in that, like I said, in that deeper role.
Played really well.
And it's I remember seeing him, you know, here and there a couple of times, obviously, especially through the under-23s, but under-21, sorry, but he still looks really slight. When you see all the other players and you see it on TV, you go, really is tiny. But actually, don't even want to be condescending to him, actually, because to be fair, it's not something that's limited his career and his mentality, the perception early on.
He got for being so slight and he's like, so short.
Couldn't care less. I know I'm a good player, and actually, in this day and age, we do get kind of bogged into the physicality and a height, you know, less away from the, and not so much the technical ability of a player. How good is he with the ball at his feet? How can he manipulate it? Well, some of the greatest player we've ever seen, like you said, he's not Modric. Some of the greatest players we've ever seen are very small.
But we're not great in this country at nurturing that type of player, are we? I think we do look more at the physical attributes, and to be fair, Lee Carsley highlighted that in the build-up to this game against Finland and said, actually, this is the type of player that as a nation we should be developing and nurturing.
Are we all right just sliding past the situation with Matthijs de Ligt?
Oh, yes, actually.
Being absolutely horrendous. And Virgil van Dijk is very, very soft. I just have to mention Virgil van Dijk not shaking Xerxes' hand, throwing De Ligt. Yes, De Ligt was terrible. He was terrible. He got hauled off at half-time. But again, Virgil van Dijk's come out and be like, you know, you make these mistakes at the highest level, you get punished. I just thought very salty from Virgil.
He's got that in his locker.
Threw old Matthijs right under the bus.
I mean, do you know what the funny thing about that is, actually? I really thought with Xerxes being able to go into Netherlands camp, I was saying on some of the shows we've been doing, I was like, actually, Van Dijk's a leader, you know, he's captain. He might actually do him a bit of good being around some senior pros.
Oh, you don't want to know him.
You know, yeah. And then it's like, and then I've seen that, I've gone, well, absolutely not. And for De Ligt though, I mean, she's trying to find his feet, trying to get a bit of form, Crookie.
It's not ideal.
It's not ideal, is it?
No,
but it happens.
But from a confidence perspective, I thought he started well in the game against Liverpool.
Very well.
Then he sort of faded away as the team did, and then he goes away for his country, makes an absolute howler, gets hauled off at half-time, and I think Ronald Koeman admitted that he took him off for his own good, much like Ten Hag did with Casemiro.
Sometimes you need that.
He's going to need to bounce back, because let's be honest, when you're a Manchester United player, those type of errors and those mistakes get highlighted more. There's no question about that. So he's got to prove now that he's got the minerals to bounce back.
Would that alter your thinking for the Southampton game?
No, I think he's playing.
I think get him straight. Yeah. Don't worry about what's happened over there. Get back here. You've just had a start at United. Let's get back-to-back starts. Let's start getting you comfortable. Because the only way to get rid of a little bit of ring rust and a lack of confidence, because he knows he's a good player. He's played at some of the biggest clubs in Europe. Like, he knows that. The only way to get rid of it is to just keep playing, Angelina.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like you have to really separate those situations. Whatever's happened with his national team is something completely different. And I think, regarding confidence, can you imagine how it would make you feel if you've had 2 games where you've really not performed, one of them worse than the other, and then you come back and it's like, oh yeah, you're on the bench, mate. It wouldn't be a good feeling.
No, it's not. And hopefully he comes back full of beans, ready to go. Now, there was some big news this week regarding a potential new stadium. A strategic partnership has been agreed with the club, Trafford Council and Greater Manchester Combined Authority, with the aim of maximising growth and the regeneration opportunities of the Trafford Wharfside area. Now, a task force is being led by Seb Coe, and an answer on whether or not the $2 billion and 100,000 seater stadium, will go ahead in what is wanted by the end of the year. Now, it's a massive situation for us, guys. How important is it for us to get a new stadium? This is something that I've been on the end of some backlash, arguing back and forth with fans saying, absolutely not. This is our soul. Just rebuild upon it, expand upon what's there already. Do not change Old Trafford. Then there's a whole another section of the fan base that's like, listen, Old Trafford is tired. Old Trafford needs modernising. We need to have the best stadium there could possibly be in English football. We need to get back to those. Where do you stand on that, Crook? How important is it for us?
Well, I've got to say, initially I was in your camp because I think Old Trafford is unique and I think you need to protect that history. It's all United have got at the moment is history. However, I think logistically, probably a new stadium makes the most sense, both economically and probably time-wise as well. It's difficult, I think, to regenerate Old Trafford while the team is still playing there. And then you look at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, which for me is certainly the best in the country, maybe the best in Europe. They've managed to keep that identity of the old White Hart Lane, and I have faith in Seb Coe and the task force and Sir Jim Ratcliffe that they are able to do that, in which case I'm probably now more coming down on that side of the argument.
Yeah, good.
But I think you need to keep things like the Munich Tunnel, the Munich clock, the Holy Trinity statue, Sir Matt Busby's statue. They all need to be included in the design.
100%. You know, the Stretford end must have its rightful place.
Agreed.
And I think these are relatively simple things to incorporate in a new look stadium. I mean, for you, Angelina, I mean, it's different for us, obviously all United fans from London or outside of Manchester vibe, but that's not the case for you. You are a local fan. You was born and bred in Manchester. As a little girl, probably going to Old Trafford and seeing it as it is. How does it feel for you? Does it change your perception on it because you're from the city, you live there?
I really was against anything new because Old Trafford is Manchester United. Like you say, going there as a kid. Like, I remember, you know, my granddad, who was diehard, he had Man United on the side of his glasses. He was going there, you know, every single weekend. He was a season ticket holder. I have so many memories being there, some good, some terrible, I'll be honest, but it's Manchester United. But the more I think about it and the more I debate about it, if we are going to be Manchester United, that is in the conversations with the Real Madrids of the world, the Barcelonas, etc., then we need a stadium that represents that. I wanted to, in my head, I was thinking, could they build on this complex like a smaller stadium that would be for, the under-21s, perhaps some of the women's games,
We're talking about reducing the size of Old Trafford so that we can keep it for the women's and the youth.
Which makes sense, but in my head, I was thinking, at the beginning, I'm thinking, could we build something small and then sort out Old Trafford and have it as somewhere to move Man United? But the bottom line is, there is a train track in our way, and logistically it just doesn't make sense unless Manchester are going to move these train lines, which I would not be opposed to. Just saying, but there's a lot of different factors as to why we may have to bid farewell to Old Trafford, but I agree with Crookie. There are many things that I think you can keep to ensure that it is still a special place. But you look at the people that Sir Jim Ratcliffe has apparently been sending out to investigate. I think they've been to, Real Madrid, they've been to a couple of stadiums in the US, etc., to really kind of get an understanding, and to Tottenham as well, to get an understanding of what these stadiums look like. And I'm sick, to be honest, of people slagging us off. I'm sick of people making fun of us, sick of people talking about leaky roofs. I'm sick of people talking about how dismal it is and everything like that.
The press box is one of the most uncomfortable in the country,
honestly,
by the way.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah,
it is,
100%.
And it just shouldn't be that. And you go to other stadiums and you see how
We've fallen behind.
I want us to have something special.
But I tweeted from the tunnel at Old Trafford last season, I think after the Arsenal game, when literally the players' tunnel had water pouring in from the torrential rain. And Old Trafford has almost become an emblem of the Glazers' mismanagement of the football club. So I think it is time to move on now and act like a serious operation again.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.